Hi, I'm Mayce.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between.
Well, hey there, bestie.
Hey, bestie. Happy Tuesday. Happy podcast. Happy all the things.
Yes, happy all the things. It's a great day to be happy. We have a great guest, a great quote, so let's talk about it.
Yes, today's guest is Chad Newell. Welcome, Chad.
Welcome, Chad.
Morning. I'm so glad to be with you guys.
We're glad you're here. Chad, will you go ahead before we share the quote we're going to talk about? Tell our listeners a little bit about you so they can get to know you a bit.
Sounds great. Well, I'm elated to be on here today. Again, my name's Chad Newell, and I'm president of the Area Development Partnership. It's a private nonprofit organization, and we exist to enhance the quality of progress in Greater Hattiesburg. And
my hometown, shout out.
Yes.
Yeah, so we enhance the quality of life through economic progress. And so my wife and I, Jen and I, have been married 32 years in August, and we have 3 young adult kids and have 2 grandkids. We have scooted around the Southeast through the years in Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. And we are now back home in our home state of Mississippi, trying to help make good things happen here.
Chad, did you grow up in Hattiesburg?
So Jen and I both grew up in Meridian, Mississippi. So
we've
nearby.
been there.
Yeah, we did some
Been
training there.
Yeah, and so our kids were all born in Alabama in different cities, in Birmingham, Opelika, and Mobile, and then we lived in Nashville for a while, and just made our way back here. So it's been really good. My wife Jen, she got to the point where she said, "Chad, I'm ready for the kids to be from somewhere," and I said, "Yes, ma'am, me too."
And Macy, you probably asked that because of his Jersey accent.
Yeah, he has a really strong Northeastern accent. Yeah. So I wasn't sure if you were born in New York City or something.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I love it.
You're like Missy. You've been working on your accent your whole life, right?
Yes, exactly. Had to work really hard on this.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad you're here. We have chosen what we think is a perfect quote for you today, and it's this. It is said by Helen Keller, and it says, "Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much."
I love it. I love it. And so, Chad, we're going to start with you. What comes to mind when you hear this quote? And did you have a specific leadership moment in which this quote played out for you?
I think that quote really plays out in everyday life for me. I mean, just as I lead a team here in Hattiesburg, we're only as strong as the team that we assemble around us. And so I just think it's so important. You know, when I was younger, I think I was trying to do a lot on my own, and really just led to a lot of hours, not as much productivity for the overall organization. And so I pivoted at some point along the way and realized that the rising tide lifts all boats. We've got to empower everyone on the team.
Ding,
And
ding, ding.
It just leads to better outcomes, both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
I've always said there's such power in partnership.
Yeah. And really just empowerment. I mean, the word empower itself, right?
Yeah.
Has power in
That's
it.
right.
There is power in empowerment. Chad, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and it's such in today's world, it's all about talent recruitment and talent retention. And people aren't always staying in an organization because of their salary. They are staying because they understand their why.
Yes.
They are empowered, like you're saying, Macy, and they have an opportunity to grow and prosper. People want to plant where they can grow.
Absolutely. Now, you describe yourself as a servant leader, Chad. What does that look like practically? Like how you lead your meetings or how you make decisions or how you build team culture? How does servant leadership show up practically for you?
Good question, Mayce. I like that one.
Thanks.
Well, I think you need to love, serve, and care. I mean, you really have to love your team. Back in the day when we talked about management instead of leadership, love wasn't
Yes,
used often in the
Yeah.
conversation.
that's for
But
sure.
you really have to love your team. You have to serve your team. They have to know that you have their back. They have to know that you want them to achieve great things, that you're going to train them, that you're going to do professional training, but you're also going to do a lot of on-the-job training. And then you're going to let them sometimes be the quarterback and be out front and shine.
I
And
love that.
you know,
Yes.
and when they stumble and fall, you're going to have empathy and grace. Certainly, you're going to have constructive feedback because you want them to raise their leadership lid. But people have to know that they can kind of fail forward and make mistakes and get themselves up and dust themselves off and get back out onto the playing field. So they have to have
Yeah.
somebody who champions that.
I love
So
that. So
good. So
good.
good.
So good.
Now, Chad, you're a strong advocate for like hiring the right fit. So, what traits, and this is maybe even like a three-prong question, but like what traits do you look for in a new team member? And how do you build a culture that keeps great people around? Like, what might be some red flags for you or other leaders that are listening as they're trying to create that team-based culture?
All right, so let's break it down just because that was a lot, Miss.
It was a lot.
So let's,
I
so
had
let's
a lot
start
of
here.
questions
I
in my
know.
head.
Let's start this. What traits do you look for in a new team member? Let's start there because I know our listeners are taking notes. I want them to get all the goodness.
Hey, character is at the very top for me.
Yes.
And so I'm trying, but it's really hard because, maybe, a lot of times you've seen a person's cover letter and their resume, and you are interviewing them for the first time. And so I'm looking at body language. I'm looking at, how do you believe that they will interact with your team? So, Missy, like you said, it's all about fit, but character is at the very top. Everybody's going to have background, resume, skill sets, or
Sure.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be interviewing them in the first place. So
Yeah.
that's a check the box. If you get an interview, then you meet the technical criteria. We know that you have the
Right.
background and the skill sets, but we're looking for kind of the soft skills.
Love that.
How are you going to work in a team? How are you going to work under pressure? Are you always going to have strong character and have that, just exude that in every decision that you make? Certainly, we're looking for a good work ethic. Another kind of cool thing that I say to all the people that we interview is, and I look at them and say this, and then I sit and see how they react.
Oh, I'm ready.
I often say, we want to hire people who want their teammates to be as successful as they are.
Oh, I love
Ooh, that's a
that.
good one.
And then I pause for a moment. And if they get shifty and uncomfortable, I know that's probably not something they believe in.
Yeah.
And if they
So
seem
good.
comfortable and embrace that and build upon that comment, then I know that they probably do want to really, truly engage their teammates in a positive way.
Chad,
Good.
before we go to that second question that Missy asked you, I have a question because you talk so emphatically about character. In the interview, what might be a question besides the one that you just shared? What might be a question if someone's listening and they are in HR or they do the interview? What might be a good question for them to ask to reveal someone's character?
Well, in interviews, you always have to be a little careful about
Yeah.
the exact line of questioning. But I think just like we're having a free flowing conversation today, I think some people approach an interview in too rigid of a fashion where they have all these set questions. Really, sure, you want to pose some questions, but you want that person to kind of open up and share what they feel comfortable sharing. And I always just kind of start out, tell me a little bit about you, personally and professionally.
It's that
And
reading between the lines, don't you
it
think?
is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is just really trying to interpret, what led you to this day today to be sitting here in our conference room interviewing for this job. And, you always want to, I forget who to attribute this to. We all read so much on the leadership side of the equation, but it's such a good conversation to have. Make sure somebody is running toward an opportunity, not running away from something.
That's so good.
Because you can ascertain pretty quickly in an interview if someone is really running away from a difficult, bad situation, or are they running toward your organization with
a
open
new
arms?
opportunity.
Yes.
I think when we interviewed Christian Martinez, he talked about that.
He did. You're right.
We can link that back. All right. What's the second question?
So here we go. You've gotten someone with great character who's a team player. How do you build a culture that keeps those great people around?
Okay, well, it's interesting. And in today's world, like I'm a Gen Xer. I've got millennials on my team. I have Gen Zs, baby boomers. I mean, we have an 11-person nonprofit organization, but it's a melting pot of people.
Yes.
Backgrounds, races, age groups, economic diversity, where their educational background, we bring people in from a variety of areas, and really they want to be appreciated and emboldened to make decisions. They want to be empowered, and they want to be listened to. We survey our team often. We ask them questions like, hey, what do you think is going right? What do you think we need to tweak here? So we not only create a positive culture through good clarity and communication and support and empowerment, but we often try to tweak our culture so we protect it and grow it, is the terminology that we use.
Love that.
And if every teammate feels like they play a part in creating and growing the culture, then there's this buy-in that, hey, we're all in it together. We also, as we provide a lot of promotion opportunities. So in a healthy culture, people want to know they're not going to be stagnant and in the same role for the next 15 years. They want to make sure that there are growth opportunities in the organization. But, they also just understand that, hey, sometimes I'm the quarterback, sometimes I'm just a teammate on the playing field, or sometimes I'm on the sidelines cheering for my teammates.
This is so good. I mean, if you're not taking notes, get out your pen and paper, because this is good stuff here.
Chad, just curious, how many folks are on your team, like in the company? Like
we have 11. We have 11 full-time team members. We have a 23-person board of directors that I report to. So we've got a lot of, folks that we interact with. We have over 850 business members of our organization, from mom and pop shops to multinational corporations. So we have a lot of touch points with a lot of different people. But our staff is 11 people, and they are in different roles in membership, recruitment and retention, and communications and events, and economic and community development, and then we have back office, administrative, financial staff. But it is such, we work hard, play hard. That's one of my favorite sayings.
Us too, Chad. We work hard, play hard too.
Yes, we do.
I wrap that up into one. We really we celebrate our successes. I think that's a big part of successful cultures too. Sometimes we all run toward goals and aspirations, and then we accomplish them. And then without blinking, we turn and go to the next.
Goal.
Absolutely.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
Yes. Okay, so the follow-up of my 3 questions then, are there red flags that you look for as you're building this team-based culture? Anything you would kind of say, watch out for this or that?
Don't let anything negative fester.
So good.
We don't
nip it in the bud, as our grandparents would say, probably.
Exactly. We don't sweep anything under the rug. We address every issue head on in a professional manner.
So good.
And you mentioned staff meetings earlier, and almost in every staff meeting, sure, we're going over calendars and what events are coming up and how can we help each other. But I'm also looking around the room at body language, trying to gauge how's everybody doing personally. And kind of an interesting thing, back in the day, everybody had staff meetings, I think, on Monday morning at 8 o'clock. For me, that's taboo. We have staff meetings every Tuesday morning at 8:30 because we want people to come in on Monday. We want them to think about, what did I accomplish last week? What is on the agenda for this week? How can I best prepare my week so that when they come in on Tuesday, they are really energetic and ready to engage. But I think it's good to always try to have your finger on the pulse of how your teammates are doing, because I always say you got to grow personally to flourish professionally. And if you're struggling personally, there's no doubt you're going to bring it into the workplace.
Oh, of course.
And if you're struggling in the workplace, you're going to take it home.
That's right. Yeah.
The old school management style was do your personal life and your personal life, come here and separate the two entirely. It's really impossible in my mind to separate the two entirely.
We agree.
Yeah. All right. So you had mentioned that you work like across private and public and nonprofit, all these different sectors. Is there a lesson that you learned about bringing these sectors together and how you could help them collaborate more effectively?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, bestie. I was thinking about our listeners this morning and imagine that so many of them are like managers that we have worked with from all over the world for the past decade, feeling overwhelmed and spread thin.
Yes, and they're probably finding themselves constantly repeating expectations, fixing mistakes, or carrying too much of the load, and it's time for a change.
At Mpactful Messages, we specialize in helping managers in high-stress jobs take back control of their team and their time. We know that they want to lead more effectively, increase team performance, and achieve all their goals without burning out. And we created a solution.
That's right. If you're solving problems your team should be handling, and you're explaining the same thing over and over again, and you're reacting to fires instead of leading forward, and you feel like it's all on you, you need to go right now to www.manager-reset.com and download our new guide.
And here's the thing. You don't need a new planner or another motivational quote. You need a reset.
So go right now to www.manager-reset.com for your free guide. You'll be so glad you did.
Yeah, so it's a lot, but it's fun. We have some long, tiring, stressful days at times, but it's how you approach it, really. We understand why we do things and our purpose. If you know your purpose and why you are doing it, then you can hit difficult days head on and come out the other side. But pulling public and private leaders together requires everybody to check their ego at the door.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yes.
And that's easier said than done
Yes.
for probably all of us at times. But you really have to approach things like, we are doing this for the betterment of our region and trying to create economic prosperity for all of greater Hattiesburg. And you have to understand that the public sector plays a role, the private sector corporations play a role, and the private nonprofit facilitation group like we play a significant role in bringing the public and private sectors together. So you have to know what makes people tick, what makes their organizations tick. And one saying that I have is that you always have to keep the war in mind, not just the battle. Don't worry about winning the battle. Worry about winning the war. So what I mean by that is you don't always have to go in and win that particular day, or offer rebuttal in a specific conversation that you're having with someone, you can just take it in and listen and then move to the next day and the next opportunity to kind of, accentuate progress and move things down the road. So it's the old situational awareness, emotional intelligence conversation. It really comes into play when you're trying to bring different constituencies together and get them to understand the overall vision and how we move toward the goal together.
Yeah.
I love it.
Say, oh, go ahead, Miss.
Well, I was just going to say, Chad, as you were saying that, like knowing about what makes people tick. Macy and I always say you need to understand what makes people tick and also what ticks them off.
Yeah. And what I was going to say, similarly, like
That's
if you're
great.
listening to this and you're like, well, I don't work with public and private and nonprofit, I only work with the people on my team. It's the same exact thing. Like there's a ton of different personalities. Not everybody is hardwired the same. So it does go back to what what ticks them off.
Exactly.
Sorry about that. We're supposed to be G-weighted. What ticks them off and what makes them tick. So let me ask you this, because you gave us a tweetable, even though we don't tweet, just a few minutes ago. You said personal development helps someone flourish professionally. I think that's a tweetable.
It is such a tweetable, yes.
Although we don't tweet. But
no.
How do you then, what is your approach to help your team members grow, especially if you're trying to build them into leadership roles, whether it's with your company or somewhere else in the future? What do you do to help them develop?
Okay, so I categorize it in these areas: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. For me, that's what makes me tick. That's what drives me. And that's what I think, if one of those is out of balance for me, then the others become kind of out of balance. So I think that somebody else may define that differently, and that's okay. But you have to determine, how am I doing personally? How am I doing professionally? And for me, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Like, for example, a few years ago, physically, I was probably not at my best. I was probably 25 pounds heavier. If my sugar got out of whack, I felt really bad. So I was actually on a plane flying to Germany. And unfortunately for me, I ate a big bag of peanut M&Ms on an empty stomach, and my sugar plummeted. It spiked and then plummeted. And I promised the good Lord, I said, hey, if I can just get off this plane and land in Europe, I'm going to make some healthcare, adjustments. So started eating better, started exercising more. And I just think, and lost 25 pounds. And so you just have to kind of do what I call the mirror test. And you do that physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And if one of those, again, is kind of out of kilter, then your entire existence can be. So let me summarize. I went off on a tangent there. I apologize.
That's okay.
But at our staff meetings, in addition to kind of going through all the calendar items and work-related items, we usually, probably at least 2 out of 4 times, maybe even 3 out of 4 times, we do a leadership lesson at the end. And it could be, and we read a lot of leadership books and watch a lot of leadership podcasts. And so we'll kind of talk about one of those, and I'll lead the discussion, but then I open it up for conversation. How do you, what do you think about this? How do you feel about it? And people really don't like, even in a professional setting, they like to feel like they can open up and be connected personally.
Sure.
And so I think that helps build a healthy culture. You're not trying to get them to be like you and believe everything you believe, but you want them to feel open to express where they are and kind of where they're trying to improve in different phases of life. And it just really helps them feel like these people care about me, and beyond the paycheck that I get.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So good. So you've led across multiple states and sectors, and it's obvious that leadership is really important to you. What's one leadership truth, Chad, that you've carried with you everywhere? Like it's just a part of who you are?
Well, it's a leadership truth, and it's a leadership quote. If I could give one of each, the leadership truth is what I mentioned earlier about. I really am just a huge believer that if you grow personally, you're going to flourish professionally. And then a leadership quote for me is that your competency will get you in the room, but your character will keep you there.
Ooh, that's good.
So good.
Tweetable.
Hey, that's not a Chad Newell quote, but that is a quote that it's attributed to a few people. Actually, John Wooden, the great UCLA basketball coach from back in the day, and then in the modern era, someone who really uses that terminology a lot is Carey Nieuwhof. He's a leadership guru and pastor in Canada. But I do think that, your competency often does get you in a room, but think about all of the people who have fallen from grace and their leadership tenure is shorter and rockier because they didn't have what Andy Stanley would say is guardrails in life. I think that we have to have guardrails because I envision I kind of equate it to, think about a car in a mountainous terrain and it's snowing and you're going up curvy mountainous roadway. What do you want if you're the driver of that car? You want a guardrail, right?
Right, yeah.
So that we don't flip the car, over the railing and down the mountain. And I think that is true in our lives. If we do not have some sort of guardrails, then we will not be able to bounce back into the road and keep it in between the navigational beacons. So not to preach on that too much, but I do think that, and that translates into different things for different people, but everybody needs somebody they can tell the unvarnished truth to. And they also need somebody who will listen and provide them, with constructive feedback. And because if you have that in life, then you're going to navigate life more effectively.
So good. So good. So trust is the backbone of any strong team or partnership. What have you found to be like the most effective in building trust quickly? Like maybe something that our listeners could put into action today?
I think clarity and good quality communication, certainly great results, but empathy and grace are a big part of trust, I think. Clarity is a word that I often use because people go awry or they get off track or they fall short oftentimes because there just wasn't clarity associated with what needed to be done.
They just didn't know.
Didn't
right?
know.
They didn't know what they didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were on the struggle bus because they just never fully realized this is exactly what the team needed me to do. So good clarity, quality of communication, everybody being on the same page. But then you have to be a good listener, you have to be empathetic, and you definitely have to offer grace. And grace, by definition, is undeserved forgiveness. And sometimes we all just mess up. We are all messy mortals. We are all going to fall short. And sometimes, grace is one of those things too that is so easy to receive and sometimes impossible to give.
Yes. Yes.
When I messed up, and I mess up daily, I want somebody to say, "Hey, Chad, it's okay. I forgive you. You messed up. You fell short. Let's just dust ourselves off and get back out onto the playing field."
So good.
But sometimes when somebody else messes up, you just kind of want to be harsh. and you want to like, hey, you really dropped the ball here. But instead of kind of focusing on, you should never be demeaning in your leadership. You should always offer some corrective input, some constructive feedback, because that's the only way we're going to get better. But make sure you're doing it coming from a good place.
Yeah. Connect before you correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Love that.
And that's a great point, Missy. I mean, I like our team, we really consider ourselves family. We love each other. We care for each other. We respect each other. But we also hold each other very accountable. And it's easier to hold people accountable when you have a deep relationship with them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. Let us ask you this, Chad. You've been in leadership, obviously, for decades, for a really long time. How do you, and most people...
You just say I'm getting old?
No. Most people would say, how do you balance, right? And we don't believe in that word. We think balance is BS. So how do you harmonize? How do you harmonize being deeply committed to your work? And obviously your family is important to you. So how does all of that work together in harmony? Like, what does Chad do to make sure his family and his work and his personal life are all working together in harmony?
I've learned to say no more so I could say yes to bigger and better things.
That is so good.
I mean, you really, as I've matured and as I've kind of moved through this leadership journey, I never just meet to meet. I don't like to just meet and without a very specific purpose and outcomes that we're trying to achieve. Some people, if you ask them, hey, how are you doing? They say, oh, I'm busy. I could care less about being busy.
Right.
I want to be efficient and productive and have great outcomes personally and professionally.
So good.
I really do think, like, one thing I always say yes to is spending time with my teammates, because I know that if they walk in my door and I greet them with open arms and I hear what they have to say and I offer some feedback or I just offer a listening ear, then they are going to go away and be much more productive. And then at home, sometimes I say that, like, Jen and I don't have a whole lot of friends because we spend time with our family and with a few friends that we have deep relationships with. And I have a whole world of acquaintances. But you really have to prioritize your time. Who are you going to spend time with? Because our time is all very limited. So at work, I try to, my team kind of laughs because I'm a planner. I plan out the entire year. I look back over the previous year and look at what I did and how I spent my time. And then I think about, what can I do differently this year and be more effective and productive and more beneficial for others? And then, and what does my family have on the docket, this year? And how can I make sure that I'm carving out time with them? So it's really, you really just have to prioritize your life.
That's the word.
That's the word, yep. We were waiting for it. We knew it was coming.
Because if your time, somebody else will either tell you how to spend your time or you have to decide how you're going to spend your time. And it's okay to tell people no, like, no, I can't serve on that particular committee or that board.
No is a complete sentence.
I was just going to say the same thing. I like to tell people no, period. Like, no's don't need exclamation or, explanation. No is a complete sentence.
So good.
Yeah.
So
good.
Is. Okay, so it's time now, Mayce, for our big takeaway.
Okay. I'm waiting.
Okay. If you're listening and there were a lot of great nuggets to take away from this episode, let your one thing be this: big results require big alignment. Right? Behind every major win, whether it's economic development, job creation, or growth, it's not one genius leader. it's a well-aligned team. It's true that success scales only when everyone rows in that same direction across sectors and roles. Think of it like this. Collaboration isn't a soft skill. It's a competitive advantage.
Ooh, that's good. Culture is the system that drives behavior, right? And behavior is what drives results. So when leaders are intentional, culture isn't just about being a nice place to work. It's going to help get results, and those results will be repeated and trust will be built.
So good. Well, Chad, thank you so much for being here. You are an amazing guest. We so appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, if our
Awesome.
listeners, thank you. If our listeners want to stay connected with you and or learn more about what the company is doing, how can they do that?
Sure. We are, of course, across all social media platforms. I'm personally on X and on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So feel free to connect with me there. You can learn more about our organization by going to our website at theadp.com. And so you can see what we're up to and stay engaged with us. So across all social media platforms and our website.
And we'll put all that in our show notes as well.
Yes.
All right. So as we wrap up, Chad, we ask all of our guests this. What is your favorite leadership quote?
I think we've talked about it a bit already, but it is that your competency will get you in the room, but the quality of your character will keep you there.
That's a great one.
So good.
I just think that's it for me.
All right. Well, listeners, we want to hear from you too. Do you have a favorite leadership quote? Send it our way and we may spotlight it on a future episode.
We'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about it. Bye,
Thank
Chad.
you, Chad.
Bye,
Thank
Bestie.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this show, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast, leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app, and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _ messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.